Hello, hello.
Hi.
Morning, everybody.
Hello.
Good morning.
Oh, sorry.
We're just going to squeeze our little hips in here.
Good thing we love each other.
Yes, nice and close.
Does that mean I'm part of the clan?
Yes.
Obviously. I mean, I am decked out in your gear today.
And our lovely mugs.
Mugs, so cute. Nice little surprise, thank you.
Official behind
Cheers.
the sign. Cheers, yes.
For anyone logging in and doesn't know, this is Stacey, and Stacey is a business owner of 3 businesses. Crazy, I thought 1 was a lot, but you do 3.
And a mom.
And a mom, and a wife, and just a human being living life. So we wanted to bring Stacey on today. We'll get into a little more of her businesses in a minute, but we wanted to come on and say Happy International Women's Day. We thought it was awesome to be able to get on here today and move our normal scheduling from Wednesday to Tuesday, just so we could actually take note of this and celebrate together. We're obviously great supporters of each other and other businesses around us, so we just really wanted to tie into that today.
Absolutely. So, happy International Women's Day. I hope everybody is taking an opportunity to, really absorb their accomplishments and what it really takes for us as women to get through the day most of the time because, times have changed a lot, but it still is very busy.
Very busy.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into market stats first, talk about, again, a crazy, crazy month of
Bananas,
I don't even know.
We've lost the words for how crazy it is these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're definitely starting to see a shift in March. So as we talk about the numbers for February, do keep in mind that March is already, again, a completely different animal, and we're starting to see some cracks. So
I think we'll touch on those cracks, but first start off with February.
yeah, you guys want to talk about Orangeville first?
Jess, you want to grab that?
Sure.
Yep, sorry. Excuse me, my notes.
Yeah, so February, I mean, things have changed, but not so much. Refreshing that we did see more inventory. So the 8 or 9 listings that I think we talked about last month, there's more and more coming every day. Today I checked this morning, actually, condos and freeholds were at 37, so that's a good sign.
Yep.
But fast inventory still. Our days on market is back down to 5 or 6 days. Yeah. We had 55 sales, which is a lot more than we saw in December and January, but it's actually still a little bit low compared to February of last year. We were at 61 transactions last year, but prices just keep climbing like we've talked about. We officially have now crossed the $1 million mark for townhomes in Orangeville. We actually had one townhome sell for $1,251,000.
I mean, I don't think that's a norm, though. I think that might be like somebody came in and maybe didn't fully understand what Orangeville should be sitting at, or was just extremely emotional and was like, I have to have this, and went through everything.
Yeah.
Because that's crazy.
It is crazy, but it did set the precedent that now everything is over $1 million at least, right? We were still like underneath that. So yeah, detached, same thing. I mean, we were at just under 845,000 in 2021. We're now up 1.1 million. $1,163,639 for a detached, and semis we're at 868,367. So yeah, prices climbing overall year over year. That's a 36% increase. So we'll see more inventory. Like we said, these past few weeks we've seen a little bit of dip in showing activity. The number of offers that are coming on offer night. Some properties are only getting 1 offer on offer night or none. And they're having to kind of rejig their marketing plan a little bit. So time will tell, really.
And I think there's a lot of factors that maybe are kind of coming into place the last few weeks of spring. I mean, how many people have been outside with wanting to put sandals on, and maybe they're kind of anticipating that more will come to the markets, or are people just holding out and waiting for that?
It's also just naturally a busier time of year because we get to the point of closing dates can be after school is finished. So you put all of those things together, and people are getting a little nervous that they might not get these crazy over asking for their house. That was almost guaranteed 2 months ago. So I think it's a big recipe for a calmer market, and we can only hope. So,
and fingers crossed, like I think it also might be a good time to start thinking about selling before the buying. I know I was always on the side of buy first because there wasn't enough inventory, so you didn't want to get stuck. So kind of, are we able to switch over to that? We can sell and then look, depending, I think, on the area you're looking to go to. So
I
it's going to
think
be
we're
specific
shifting
to
more into the like, it's a gradual needle, right?
Yeah.
So buy first, sell later, but we're getting into the market of, like you were saying, almost simultaneously right now. Do it at the same time, and then hopefully we shift to even more inventory, and then
and we need everybody else to catch on to that and also move in that direction.
But one thing that I know from talking to my own clients, in the way that we talk about this and we say that we're not seeing these crazy over asking, that's not to be confused with prices going down.
No.
As far as sellers go, we've only once in Ontario seen a decline, which was in 2008 when we saw the mini recession in the US. And it didn't really dip all that much then. So the likelihood of prices going down is very, very slim. It's what we're wanting is enough inventory that prices can hold steady. We're, back to regular negotiations where you can try and get a bit of a deal maybe, but we're not talking 200,000 to 300,000 either way. A stable market is always the best market, whether you're buying or selling.
I think, sorry, on that topic too, is the whole strategy that we've seen of purposely pricing things low to try to generate. I think we're starting to push the needle on that and go back to trying to decipher what is market value these days and appropriate price. So that was another stat there. Last month we had our list price to sale price ratio was over 121%. So that just goes to show you as well that like there is a trend there of purposely underpricing things to generate those offers. So we'll see.
Well, as a buyer, they're all looking at it and saying, well, I know this is going to go 100, 150,000 over. So you're not even looking at that number. Because you're like, it's going to go out of my price point. There's no point in me looking at that. And we saw this happen last year. We ended up in the summer months going back to, as you say, market price and being within 20 to 50,000, I think was the average last summer, give or take. So I think we'll see that coming back. I'm hoping for that.
I think we're all hoping for that. I think buyers, sellers, realtors, everyone is just kind of
done,
exhausted. And like I'll say it again 1,000 times, a stable market is the best place to be on either side. And I would love to be done with this 5 days on market.
Oh yes.
In a normal market, we're 3 months. Wow. That is a stable market is 3 months.
Actually, that's an interesting point. I was just reading an article this morning. We've all been crying for some kind of government intervention.
Legit crying.
Because that seems to be the only answer to putting some kind of a cool to things. So anyway, BC Real Estate Association put out a proposal of some strategies to help cool things. One of the recommendations was to have a mandatory, at least 5-day listing period where no offers can be submitted. And the purpose being that it will allow buyers to do their due diligence, to be able to properly research that market that property is in, properly research that property, and to not put any offers forward without having full information.
I like the concept. I still don't feel like 5 days is enough.
I don't either.
No. I mean, how many of your buyers, they go and you have 30
work.
minutes to look at a house.
Yeah.
You have to decide everything in 30 minutes. And then in some cases, if you're working all week, you're seeing a house on Saturday, you have to put an offer in on Sunday. That's not a realistic time frame at all.
That's another good point too, is in a normal market, we're used to 1 hour showings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take your time, peruse, check out the foundation, the roof as much as you can, and you have time to really, especially when you're going in firm, nitpick the property.
Well, imagine how much buyer's remorse would kind of settle down. I mean, buyer's remorse is normal in any market, I think, but I was with clients yesterday that literally said at the end of our walkthrough, our first walkthrough, and said, okay, we made the right decision. We weren't sure because we were like, we rushed through there and they forget what it felt like and how actually it was a stunning house. And I'm like telling them, guys, this is a beautiful house. It's okay. And then they had an hour last night to actually feel it.
I have a question for you, and maybe this is a good question from somebody who is not a realtor and not in this industry, is that let's just say that this 5-day period was imposed. Isn't it still based on demand? Because let's say I had 5 days and I saw it on the Sunday and now it's Friday and I'm ready to put in my offer. I still know that there's 50 or 100 other people. Like, I don't understand how that would even matter.
And it would mess up the opportunity for people to put in those preemptives, and if they want to pay more, I mean,
So I guess that's
shoot,
the
let them.
That's
benefit, right?
that's
That would
that's
be
the
the
argument
benefit.
there. That's
Yeah.
not a natural
thing.
market, right? Like what's the word I'm looking for? Like natural, not
Process?
no. There's like a word for it. I can't think. Anyway, natural market, like letting the market do.
Dictate the whatever. Yeah.
Yes, do what it's
Yeah.
supposed to do. Like
Yeah.
it's putting constraints on things and influence where maybe influence is not needed.
And I agree 100%, but I also feel like it could backfire where
Mhm.
if there's a minimum of 5 days and nobody can put offers in,
It's just still going to be the same outcome
In a
on the sixth
stable
day,
market.
isn't it?
If anything, maybe it's helping to push the pent up demand.
Exactly.
Right?
So
Yeah.
to me,
Fuel
that
the
doesn't
fury.
sound like a good strategy to a
on
non-realtor.
5 days,
Yeah.
right? But you know, if everyone falls in love with that house and then they all have to wait, whereas
They might calm down and let the emotions subside.
Well,
a
I
bit.
guess there's that.
Or
but
if
still.
you can put in offers anytime, how often do we all go, oh, an offer just went in, okay, my buyers said that they're out
Yes.
because they don't want to compete.
Yes.
It's either going to do that or everyone's going to be like,
they have to go
we
on
have
that
to
day.
do it on
Yeah.
the 5th day.
Yeah.
Bottom line is we're of consensus. It's not going to help cool prices.
No, build some houses. That will
Back to the
cool
drawing
things.
board.
That's what I was going to say. Like the brunt of the issue is a supply and demand issue.
Yes.
And none of these strategies is going to fix that.
Put
So-
some funding into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, we're crying on our government to help to speed up.
Well, and
Mr.
they
Government,
are,
fix another problem, please.
Yes.
and they are helping by pushing a lot of pre-construction. We're seeing
Yeah.
a lot of it. We're seeing
Which is
high
that the
density
timing
housing.
of it, right?
or
Like it's
mid-
just timing.
But the issue is these high and mid density houses. When do you buy pre-con that is as expensive or more expensive than resale? You're buying a question mark
Yep.
for more money than you could go down the street and buy the beautiful mature house that has landscaping and fencing, and
Painting and
It just
basement
doesn't make
finish. Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
there you go, government. That's our
I hope
two
you
That's
cents.
our
solved all
take
your
on it.
problems.
Yes.
Yeah, like-
That's
I
our
don't know.
take.
Was there anything else about Orangeville you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that was basically it. I think we're all in agreement that, supply and demand, obviously the interest rate hike announcement and the looming potential,
It did nothing.
maybe that's part of the cause
Maybe
of some of this
some of the
lull,
people,
right?
okay,
And
yeah.
the war in Russia, or in Ukraine, sorry. I don't know. Like maybe these are all
I think I personally have had a few people hint at a little bit of like concern about that with but I
Again.
mean I've read articles, I've seen other people talk about it in the history that our market maybe might see a blip if that were the case. And
well,
we
that
had a
was
good
Jacqueline's point.
conversation.
Yes, yeah.
Like you can have if depending on how far we get into this, I mean this is a much bigger conversation. We shouldn't get into this today.
Yeah.
This is a fun day.
Yeah, that's a whole
Um,
new episode.
That's it. Yeah. Let's talk about that one after the fact. Let's
Yeah.
Keep it
for it,
sunshine
yeah.
and rainbows. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
Orangeville on a whole, super, super strong numbers still. Really quick sales, but almost doubled our inventory. So awesome.
Yes.
If we could
Yeah.
do that again,
And keep it going.
We'll be
keep the
in-
momentum going.
yeah, we'll be in really good shape.
Yeah.
Shelburne is always a little different than Orangeville. So we did double our inventory, which is fantastic. We had 40 new listings come up, 20 sold. Now we have seen more in Shelburne than in Orangeville because it is that extra 25 minutes for all the people commuting. Some offer dates come and go with no offers. We've seen price reductions,
Yeah.
and people being a lot more open to preemptive offers. So if the Orangeville market is way too hot for you and your wallet, Shelburne is definitely becoming a great
Yes.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of more infrastructure coming in there too. So it gives you a lot more options. Like the
Oh,
plaza's
yeah.
coming in. There's going to be a lot. I think you're getting a Starbucks out there.
Yeah, we are.
So maybe
Yeah.
On
another
the
good
map.
idea for women that are thinking about starting up a business to start there.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's going to be a
potential.
lot more coming in.
Yeah, I mean, buying a home in these kind of development towns is never a bad idea.
Absolutely.
Even in these kind of uncertain times, as we'll call them, because again, you're going to at least hold your equity. It just might take a little longer after we've seen these crazy increases, but that's going to be across the board. So 20 sales, 6 days on average on market, again, and that's because of offer presentation. But the most interesting thing we saw, and this is, I hope this generates some questions. Please, guys, if you have any, we would love to answer some.
Yes.
But townhomes, on average, surpassed detached.
Wow.
In Shelburne.
Perhaps repeat that one.
Okay.
Price-wise.
Townhomes, on average, are selling for $992,500 in Shelburne, and detached went down on average to $950,000.
Wowzers.
Crazy.
So I know when I posted these stats, I had a lot of clients that have bought recently, maybe haven't closed yet, panicking a little bit. Please don't be worried. What we saw in February was an influx of older homes, century homes, 70s homes that haven't been renovated since they were built in the 70s, and they needed a lot
There
of
were
work.
some full gut ones in there that I've seen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm not talking one or two. There was probably half of them were older, so it just kind of dragged down the average. It does still blow my mind that the towns are going for $992
in Shelburne.
That could be reflection too of more so
It's
the
newer
newer ones.
construction.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they are very nice.
They are.
They're very, very nice.
Yeah.
And
it's
spacious.
Yeah. And you go in them and you don't have to do anything. Like you eventually can paint down the road, but everything's brand new. You're not buying appliances. You're not having to worry about anything. I mean, it's a good place to start.
Yeah, and especially because a bunch of these ones, there were only 2 towns that sold, and one of them was in Highland Village. So they are less than a year old. They still come with the home warranty. It's a very, very safe purchase for people. So that's the explanation on that. Otherwise, semis are still increasing, which is great. On average, 829,000. All in all, really, really strong numbers.
It's interesting how much the gap has closed between Orangeville and Shelburne, though, because we always used to have like $100,000 difference because you account for the extra commuting, and it's really in and around that 40 to 60,000. It looks like.
I feel like the more inventory and stability is going to push that back though.
Again.
Yeah.
Yes, because that was a conversation before we came on the air here about the old adage used to be, okay, yes, like Orangeville has always shown great growth, and compared to like any urban sprawl, right, GTA, well, we're gonna, Brampton, Mississauga is gonna move here. We're gonna move further north, either to Shelburne or Grand Valley, or
just out east.
But that's what I'm saying. Overall, that's been the argument: is I could sell and I could cash in, but where do I go? Because prices are increasing so much everywhere. Yeah. But to that point, I think you're right. I think the more that we see stability, that gap is going to come back again.
For sure. And again, just to reiterate for anyone who's just joining us, that's not to mean that the values will go down.
No.
I just feel like Orangeville might still continue to increase, where Shelburne might start to see a plateau. Yeah. Which is healthy.
Yep.
And good. Yep. And that's all I have for market stats. Did you guys have anything else you want to add about this crazy market?
No, I think it was, we've had some really good success. It was a successful month for us. So I think we've done really well. We've got lots of happy clients out there, and hopefully we start seeing a little more uppick, and we see some inventory coming from us in the next few weeks, months. So I'm excited. Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens now that we're kind of seeing a little bit of a leveling out. But see where it goes in the next week or two. It might be different tomorrow.
Roll your sleeves up. We thought we were busy before. So I guess that leads us to our segue as to our beautiful guest that is over here. For those wondering, joining us, who this person is. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Stacey Tarrant. I, as these 3 ladies have said, I own 3 different businesses. So one of them is Embrace Photography, Marketing and Consulting. Another is Say It With Stacey, and the newest one is I Said Yes. So,
which I love.
Thank you.
Like, I'm not getting married, and you asked me to check out your website to see what I thought, because I don't know if a lot of people know I have a photography background too. So often Stacey and I will kind of bounce things off each other. Yeah. And I want to go shopping. It makes me want to buy like all the fun and beautiful things that I didn't think for
with
my
I Said
wedding.
Yes, certainly it is catering to the wedding and bridal market, but there's a lot of great gifts for boss babes, your besties, moms. So it is very feminine. I will say that. There's certainly ideas for grooms and groomsmen, but I will say it's the full girly girl in me coming out and expressing myself through that. I actually feel, you know how Beyonce has her alter ego?
Yeah.
I actually feel like I have those with the 3 businesses. So Embrace Photography. I mean, I really did start out doing a lot of family and, you know, kind of pet photography, but where I felt like my niches and my passion and probably what brought me here to my couch today with
I got
you 3
goosebumps because I know what you're gonna say.
is supporting women and bringing out the best of them in them and having them believe in themselves. Because what I found is, over doing this for so many years and my background working at a women's shelter, is that, you know, I don't think I can ever have said in the 15 years I've been doing this that somebody's come in and said, I love getting my photos done.
Yeah.
I hear
Yes.
I do.
hey, you're the rarity.
Yes.
But I will say I've heard it all. I've heard I'm too fat. I want to lose weight. I don't like my wrinkles. I don't like my teeth. I don't like this. And then they always finish with, I don't take a good photo. And I'm like,
Yeah.
watch me.
Yeah.
But having
Sure
said
do.
that, I know that I will be done with this business when I start losing that fear. Because then I'm thinking, oh my God, can I? Because at the end of the day, we need to do a little bit of work in ourselves. I mean, I was just saying before we got on that it's like, the COVID weight got to me, this,
Right.
that. And I'm like, you know what,
Nothing
though?
fits.
Do I want to feel and look better? 100%. Do I like who I've become? 100%. And
Yeah.
it's taken me a really long time to get there. And so I actually feel like the women that have visited my studio, in particular for headshots and branding, have really taken that one sort of step forward in showing up for themselves, because I know how scared they are. I know how vulnerable they are, and I can tell that some are a little bit more scared than others, and so I'm a good people reader and can pick up on that.
Yes, that was the one thing I
Yeah.
wanted to say about your photography business is your headshots are not all, like, I think people think of headshots and they picture the generic real estate business card,
Yes.
the lawyers, and
Yes.
they're all in the same pose, they're all in the same setting,
Yeah.
but you do a really great job in like connecting with your client to set them up where the photos really represent
them.
who they are.
Yeah, reflect them. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
not all cookie cutter. They're really
and that's really what's important to me. So sort of going back to that alter ego thing is that actually it was just yesterday I was photographing the team at Olive and Ash
Mhm. Yeah.
staging,
Yes.
and you know 4 of them are all very different looking women, different heights, different body styles, and I know right away just from experience who I can read in the room of who's going to be the most confident and who's not. And again, I did a little bit of the talk
yeah.
and got them to relax, to try and bring out themselves. And it really is about just trying to get people to relax and quickly reading the room, reading the people to make them shine. And I got a text from yesterday that said, you nailed it again. Everybody loved themselves. And I'm like,
Oh, that's
It's-
such the
it
greatest
really is
compliment.
a-
Yeah.
It really is a learned skill to be able to walk into a room and instantly put people at ease. And you definitely have
oh,
that.
thank you.
You know,
You're
where you just feel comfortable,
Yes.
right? There's no like.
And you know what? I
awkward
wasn't always that
stuffiness.
girl, because I mean, today's International Women's Day, and I think about the journey that I've been on. And I mean, probably like all of us can relate. The girl that I was at, you know, at 6 or 7 versus the woman that I am today. I mean, I saw this meme once about I shed my skin, you know, many different times throughout my life, and I don't even
Yeah.
recognize that chapter anymore. And that really has. It's a full description of where I feel like I'm at today.
Tissues?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I want to believe that I was like the shyest
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
in grade school, high
Sometimes,
school,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
the shyest. I would never speak, and I don't shut
But
up.
doesn't it feel good to like become your authentic self?
Yes.
And how I think a lot of times it's also about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Yeah, because
Yes.
and that's really why I gravitated towards you,
Mhm.
the 3 of you, because I mean, just like you say that about me, I also can say that about you guys, and also the fact that you like we've never really. I mean, I'm screwed if I have to sell a house. Let me just say on the record,
Yeah.
because I.
She'll have like 50
Yeah.
of us at her
Yeah.
door.
Well,
Hey, pick one.
And the challenge for me is I'm a very
No pressure.
loyal person,
Yes.
and loyalty is extremely important to me. And I've had clients that are realtors that have supported me for years. So I don't. I'm going to cross that bridge when I get to it, right? But
No pressure.
yeah.
I think you'll just have all of us behind you, like
Yeah.
marketing the hell out of your house
Yeah,
and being like, we're getting
yes,
you the most amount of money.
Yes, I'm going to win the lottery and donate it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Awesome.
But anyways, what
I feel like we're gonna see a for sale by owner.
I did that once. I was in a different city, and I've learned about the again, having worked so closely with realtors, about all the little things that matter. As yes, we can all throw up a sign and think yes, it'll sell, but there's so much more to it, like having the exposure through MLS. And I mean, I'm not going to get into that because we probably have a
That's
lot of
another whole other
yeah.
show. Are
Yes.
you taking notes of all the shows?
Yes.
But getting back to the alter ego comment, so there's the embrace side of me, which is really about sort of the authenticity. My background is in marketing, so that's what I went to school for.
On that, I wanted to say, I feel like your monthly branding sessions are
So
so good.
So good.
For
Thank you.
I love them.
anybody that
Yes.
is trying to convey their personal brand,
Yeah.
it is an amazing technique to be able to, every month, you were so good, like you said, reading people, tuning into what they're, I've seen Laura with her dogs, I've seen
I love it.
Everybody
things
talks
that-
about
Yeah.
Laura and her
right?
dog. Just
Yes, but like that's something that resonates with her, that is
Yeah.
very important to her in her life, and
Yeah.
being like again, away from that like staunch real estate headshot, we all look the same, like totally conveying your personality because your vibe attracts your tribe, and that is an
Yes.
And here's
amazing
the
way to
thing.
do that.
When I had thought of this idea, it was actually, I thought of it pre-COVID, but then COVID hit, and even though I was allowed to do corporate photography, nobody wanted to come in because they couldn't get their hair done, which
Yes.
fair.
Yes.
So
Yes.
finally in the fall I launched it because I thought I just got to get going with it, because I knew it was a service that small business owners needed, whether they're realtors, somebody like me running a business, because your personal brand, if you own a business, you need it. You need to
Yes.
work on your brand, and a lot of people don't even understand really what that means. And so probably the easiest description that I can say is that your brand is what people say about you when you've left the room. So, for example, Sarah, what would I say about Sarah? Oh my God, I'm putting myself on the spot.
A little bit. Make this a good one.
One of the things that I would say, and I don't really know you that well, I only actually know you through social media, which is
Right.
really crazy.
Yeah,
World we live in.
Is that I would say Sarah is really good at marketing. She's really good at telling her own story and sharing what is important to her. And that is the key to branding, is what are your values? What is it that you love? And I mean, it can even be sometimes silly things. Like, do you know how many times I get tagged in a wiener dog thing?
Yes, I said that. I love your dogs. Yeah.
Right? So, and for those of you that don't know me, I have 2 wiener dogs, and
They're so cute.
I share them a lot because
Yeah.
they're important to me and I love them.
Yeah.
Are they, just like Laura and her fluffy Samoyed?
Yeah.
So,
If it doesn't represent your business per se, but it represents you.
right.
Yes.
And you know what? If I was in search of a realtor that I had moved to town and I had a choice between, company A and B, and somebody, talked about their love of dogs and the other person didn't, guess who I'm going with,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
I connect, and that's
Yeah.
really about branding. It's connecting with your audience. And I think sometimes people are fearful of being themselves because we're also worried about getting judged,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
as women, because let's face it, this is the world we live in as a woman.
And even more so since the pandemic is
100%.
being able to portray your personality and your values
Well,
through
you're not
social
Out
media.
and meeting people at restaurants
No.
or events
Yeah,
or
right,
whatever. So we
right.
have to
It's
really
got
rely on
even
this.
more significant. And I know what I was going to say is that originally when I launched the monthly branding subscription package, is I was worried because I knew that realtors would be an ideal client of mine because they are the ones that are out there a lot and very present on social media. Is how are they going to feel when Laura Wanamaker, Debbie Van Wyck, different realtor clients that I have, that they know that I'm photographing their competition. And I've had chats with everybody because I'm a very transparent person, and I've said, you know what, you are your
You are
brand.
very respectful.
Yeah.
You are your brand, and just like when I worked at Family Transition Place, anytime we'd have an event and wanted a sponsor, if Pepsi and Coke wanted to support us, I mean, yes, I'm very cognizant of the fact that I'm not trying to pit each one against each other, but we need community support by everybody, and this is no different. I'm a small business. I need the business.
And this is a big question we get about the three of us and how this dynamic works is, like you hit on earlier, yes, there can be, it's how any business survives in a surplus of competition, is you're different.
Yes, you are.
So who's going to want to work with me and resonates with me is going to be different people than connect with Jessica and people that connect with Sarah. So sure, are there going to be times when we're up against each other for a listing? And
We talked about this the other day.
Yeah,
We're going to run me over in the mud.
I'm gonna run her over. Jokingly, but professionally and respectfully, as friends and as coworkers, yes, we are direct competition. And just in relation to what you were talking about, it's, what does it matter? It's a picture. I mean, if you were to start promoting one particular person over the other, that's different.
Or if you purposely took a bad photo of me but gave Jessica
Right.
a good one,
Honestly.
Or I will be honest with you. I thought, what do my clients think about me being on your show today? And I thought, you know what? If they can't handle that, that's actually their issue, not mine.
That's true.
That's not my issue. But it is something that I guess as women we're trying to create this culture of community over competition, and I know it's such a tagline these days, but we need to dig deep and sometimes recognize when we've had those feelings of, oh, they've gone to another photographer. Oh, they've bought that shirt. Oh my God, Jessica's wearing something from somebody else. And it's like, you know what? There's enough business for everybody, and if I'm doing my job properly, they're going to come back to me, or they're going to refer me, or I don't know what kind of relationships that exist outside of my circle. Like I know, especially as realtors, you guys are meeting different people all the time, and
we
so
have this all the time. We have our friends will go to another realtor because I mean, in my group of friends, my friends know probably 12 different realtors. We all went to high school together. There's a lot of us, so. There's a lot of times, I had a girlfriend that, congratulations, just bought a house last night, and she used a friend of mine, and awesome for her. I'm there for her to support her, and they did a great job. I'm happy for them. I'm not bringing them down. I want her to succeed, and that was what was best for her.
And that is
It's
something we
not a knock on me.
all need to come to our own terms with.
Yeah.
It's a hard one, because I will say I was a very competitive person in my earlier years of life.
Too.
And I guess I still am, to be honest with you. But I've really
Absolutely.
learned to check myself in that regard and kind of think, you know what, this is my issue.
Somebody told me once that you can't lose something you never had.
Right.
Yep.
So unless we are literally in front of each other, lined up outside of a door on a listing appointment, or back to back on a buyer representation appointment, you can't lose something you never had. So how can I help you be successful? Because I know, and that's what works so well with us, even yourself, is we do things to support each other and help your business grow, because you will do the reverse as well. And nothing's wrong with a little healthy competition.
Well, and I
Honestly,
think
we keep each other on our toes.
Yeah, and there's that. And then I think the other thing too is that, I said this in one of my reels promoting this event today, is that I'm inspired by your constant creativity and your marketing, and I think, how can I use that for my branding clients, but in a different way? Right? And so because there's no such thing as a new idea, so I think that competition keeps us.
That's key.
Yeah.
I just texted another realtor this morning that we used to work with, and I was like, every time you post a reels, I literally had it saved in my drafts to post later, but now I don't want to post it.
I know who you're
because
talking
I
about.
I know who you're talking about.
I was like, how mad will you be if I respectfully wait a few days and post all the shit I already made?
There's the transparency rule, and I feel like that it kind of even boils down to communication. And when we talk about things as transparent women rather than catty competition, this is how we move forward as society and really create that gender equality that we so badly need in this world.
I often come back and wonder, why are we so competitive naturally, from a young age?
As women, I feel that that is just ingrained in us from a young age that in order to become successful, we have to fight so much harder.
That we're
To
used
be
to
the prettiest, to be the best, to be the skinniest, to be the
to be able to do
Yeah.
everything and
Everything,
do it
yeah.
perfectly
Yeah.
the first time, which leads us to our main question, because we still sit back and wonder, how the fuck do you do? You have businesses, have 2 dogs, and you're a mom, and you have a house to take care of. So how do you manage your time and not?
I don't manage my time, and I think that's one thing that I would like to work on. I did invest in a business coach a year and a half ago, and it was a really eye-opening experience because as much as I think that I know a lot, what you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of things we talked about in that 6-month term that we worked together, and I'm still implementing some of those ideas because it just takes time.
Yeah.
But I would say probably the key to my success is the ambassadors that I have that are clients and referrals, because I mean, I can only do so much marketing. I can only, you know, get out there. I mean, yes, I can pay other people, and I've had seasonal help, and I do have somebody lovely that's on staff when I need her. But I would say that a lot of it is just where I'm also at in life. My son is 13. My daughters are, you know, in their 20s living, I'd say living large, but they're still living COVID large in Toronto. So that's made it a bit easier because he can feed himself. He, you know, he's pretty independent. My husband's very supportive. So those foundational things are there. Like, I think it would be very difficult if my kid was 5.
Or if your husband wasn't supportive.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I think too, though, that what we were talking about before we came on the air as well, moving to this location and coming out of your house, like that was a step in the right direction to organizing your time, because you literally can lock the door, walk away, go home, focus on home life,
and that has definitely helped. I know that was one of the biggest complaints from my son and husband. As much as they were supportive, mom was always working, and you know, it's hard
when it's within your house to make that divide.
Also, when you love what you do, it doesn't feel
like
work.
So
you just kind of want to do it, and especially when I got, like, you know, text messages like I did last night of you nailed it, and you know, it's like no, it's
you get a new burst of energy
Yeah.
and a drive to be more creative and do
Or
more.
I'm like scrolling.
But it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Or I'm scrolling through social and I get inspired by something. It's like, oh, I should do that. And, you know, so I think for me, it's about awareness and really trying to shut off when I know that I need to listen to my body. I've been getting better with boundaries. Many times I answer emails at 7 o'clock at night, you know, especially through Facebook Messenger, where people can see that I've seen it. And I hate
that's the
that.
worst.
But then I've just said, you know what, I'm actually closed, but I'll follow up with you in the morning. Or you know what, it's Sunday, and I'm going to spend the rest of it. And everyone's like, oh yeah, no problem. And I thought, like, before, my old thinking would be, oh my gosh, I'm going to go somewhere else. Now I'm thinking, you know what, no. But I also feel, I think, a little bit more confident about that because I have such a loyal customer base.
Yeah.
With regards to say it with Stacey, that I say it sounds cliche, but I'm so grateful because it seems like there's enough of a foundation there that even if somebody's only buying something quarterly, there's enough of everybody that they're constantly shopping. And I'm also finding that my reach is expanding more and more. Like, I had somebody order a pink shirt in New Brunswick, and I'm thinking, I wonder how they found me, but I know
They
that
probably used to live in Orangeville 2 months ago.
But I think, I think for me, I know I could probably do better if I scaled faster, but I'm also just kind of enjoying this time in life because it was a big change for me after working for somebody else since the age of 14. It was when I had my first job, and I just knew that it was going to be hard for the first little while to kind of get that foundation built. And now the foundation's there. I think the foundation could always be more solid. But I just kind of want to take this time a little bit to figure it out and kind of just enjoy the process. And
So what got you past, because especially in real estate, I'm in so many groups on Facebook and so on that are like women support groups, because this job, there's a huge misconception in so many different ways, but as a woman, there's a lot of fear about, well, how am I going to be able to do this on evenings and weekends and still be a mother and take care of my children?
Yes.
How did you get past that fear to pull the
make the
trigger?
plunge?
You know what? That actually wasn't my fear, because when I, so for those of you that don't know, I was manager of development and community relations for Family Transition Place for 10 years, and that job was not 9 to 5.
No.
Okay.
So I was already kind of used to working all the time.
Juggling.
Not that anybody expected me to, but let's just put it this way. When somebody is on the other end of the phone or sends me a message that they're in crisis, I just fundraise, you know.
Yeah.
So I kind of got used to that world. So to me, that wasn't really the worry. For me, it was the financial worry. It was like, oh my God, I have a mortgage, I've got car payments, I've got commitments, and our household, you know, we were an even household as far as our financial contributions go. I've never been taken care of. I keep joking that in my next life I will, and that is such a joke. That is such a joke. I love being independent. So I think that was the hardest choice or decision moving forward. But what happened is literally, there's a quote by, I think it's Ane, where the fear of remaining in a bud was more painful than blooming.
Yep.
And that's where I was at when my husband, who we're on our second marriage to each other, I met him when I was 32, been together for, I don't know, I can't even do the math right now, like 14-ish years. He ended up undergoing emergency heart surgery, totally unexpected. He had no symptoms, thought he should just get some routine testing. The next thing you know, he's been told, don't go for a walk, don't take your dogs out, don't go to work, don't do this. And for 30 days leading up to the surgery, because even though it was an emergency, there was still a time lapse of when he was going to get into the Toronto hospital. I laid in bed at night listening to him breathe and panicking. Oh God, I didn't want to cry on Instagram. I was panicking that
You're human.
was gonna die in his sleep. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, if he gets through this, I'm gonna live the life I want, because it was an eye opener to me that it's like, you know what, I always had this entrepreneurial dream, and what if that's me, or what if this is the way our story ends? And so he ended up going through the surgery. We thought that things had got better. There was some complications. He literally was awake at 5 o'clock in the morning the week after me bringing him home and vomiting blood all over our bathroom floor, screaming, am I cracked open? And I've never been in such a state of crisis, ever. And I've had quite the childhood. And I remember thinking, if he pulls through this, I'm going to live the life I wanted, and that means a lot of different changes. And so by Christmas time, because this had all happened at the end of October, so somewhere it was a little bit before Christmas, the girls were home, we were all together, we kind of felt like we were past the hump. And I just remember looking into the faces of my 3 kids, and you could tell that they were tired, like they're soul tired. And I mean, I was there too with them, and I just said, you know what? Dad and I were thinking about getting remarried for a 10-year anniversary, because quite honestly, we're not going to make it to 50, and everybody gets so upset when I say that, but we're older. We got married older. And I said, we were going to get married in Jamaica, but F Jamaica, where do you want to go? And my oldest said, Greece. And I'm like, good, we're going to Greece. And that's what started the whole thing. We went to Greece, we went to Paris that year, we got remarried. The kids actually were our officiants. I quit my job, which was really hard because I really loved what I was doing, but I knew that if I didn't do this now, I'd be lying on my deathbed thinking, why didn't I just try? And I thought, like, I was so fearful. And my son, actually, who was 10 at the time, said to me, Mom, if things don't work out, you know everybody. Somebody will hire you. And it's like something as silly as that I was like, okay, well, maybe I don't know everybody, but I do know a lot of people. That, you know, people know my track record. They know that I've got good work ethic. I've got a marketing degree. You know what? Yeah, I'll get something. And I just did it. And I have no regrets.
And I think that it's kind of like when you're talking with people that don't have kids yet, and they're like, we're waiting for the right time. There is no right time. There is no perfect time.
No.
It's a mutual decision, you and your significant other, about whether or not this is going to be the right thing for you and your family.
Can take it on,
But what I love the most, and the first thing people say when you talk about being in real estate is, oh, do you work every weekend and every evening? And no, you really don't.
No.
You have the choice of if you want to or not. But that's the best thing about being an entrepreneur and running your own business is the flexibility.
It's within your
Random snow
control.
day yesterday,
Yeah.
none of us had an
Yeah.
issue.
Pivot.
We were able to be there for our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I still worked all damn day, but I could do it from home
Yeah.
and still be successful and make business happen while being there for my family.
Yeah.
And the other thing would be, like, I think the fear is worse than the reality
yes,
100%,
by so
yeah.
much. I know
Yes.
I knew nobody in the town when I got my license because it was that, oh God, I know I'm not meant to be a stay-at-home mom forever.
Mhm.
I'm way too busy for that in my brain.
Mhm.
So that was the timing of it for me.
Yep.
But through the business, I got to know people and the support group. Like, it's such a lonely business. Entrepreneurship in
Can be,
general
yes.
is a
It's
lonely
lonely.
business.
Yeah.
So just work on those connections. It's everything that you just said is all connections and
Mhm.
relationships with people.
Mhm.
And when you let your true self out, as
Yes.
scary as that might be, because when we're younger, we're all told to bite your tongue, think about what you say before you say it, and
Yeah.
everything you do wrong, but your true self is going to attract those similar
The
people.
right
The right people.
Yep.
And I think that's been the most important thing. And if anyone has questions about us or about Stacey's business, now's the time, because we're going to try and wrap this up shortly. But I think that's the biggest thing that I know the three of us get is, how are you competition with each other,
Mhm.
but still support each other's business
Mhm.
and not put your friends in an awkward spot?
Yeah.
Honestly, we just don't make
Or
it.
in our business too, there's loan agents and there's teams.
Right. And they're like, what are you?
But so what
Yeah.
are you guys? We've had that
Well, I've
quite
even
a
wondered
bit.
that actually.
Yeah.
At times until I think I just asked you.
We're
Yeah.
breaking the
Yeah.
mold. We are
Yeah.
not a
Yes,
team.
we are.
We are loan agents, but yes.
But we help keep each other motivated to keep going.
Yes.
Because, day in and day out, doing this alone, you end up having a hard time getting out of bed and feeling motivated to make those awful cold calls or
Mhm.
whatever it is and we help push each other out of our
Sometimes you just,
comfort
like, I've
zone.
said a few times, like, I get, like, a writer's block. So something as simple
Yeah,
as, like,
yes.
putting a post up on Instagram or coming up with the creative part of it, and you're just like, I just don't want to do this. And you, like, get on the phone with, or we're a group chat, the chat that we have, and we're just like, all right, like, I'm in a rut. Help me get out of this. And
Yeah.
Jacqueline is, like, a very good motivator for me. She'll call me and be like, listen here, Sarah, get your shit together. Jessica also, like, I get into a position where I'm just like, I feel down, or I don't feel like I can in the right direction, or I don't know what to do next, and I call up the girls and I'm like,
I think,
help me.
You know
Yes.
what? That actually is a good point too. Is that I think there's some people that think we're power women. That we've got it all. We've got it all together.
because our
you know,
Instagram looks so
we're
perfect
doing
and
well.
clean and polished.
Stacey's happily married and she's got 3 businesses.
We're
and
probably the 4 most approachable people.
oh my gosh!
Yeah.
And you know
on the
what?
street.
Yes, I have my bad days, and yes, I
Yeah.
couldn't decide what to wear today, and like. And I mean, I know that sounds like trivial, but there's also been some really hard days where,
Yes.
my kid had COVID-induced depression, and I'm like, but I'm a good mom. We
Yeah.
all go
Go through
through
stuff.
the real life. I think social media. I mean, as much as you need to be authentic, I also don't want to be a Debbie Downer, and I don't
Oh, no,
post
it's so
negative
fake.
things, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think
My pictures all have filters.
right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do not look like
Yeah.
this every
Actually,
day.
that's-
And we all do we talked about this in the car when we made the 3 best friends.
Yeah.
How many takes do you do?
Yes.
A lot.
You know how many times that phone flew off the dashboard?
we should do a bloopers
So,
reel.
I
Yeah,
guess
that'd be
for
funny.
the viewers, I just want to show up for when
Yeah.
to, but we will, want to make sure that we're just different than you. You're thinking license, starting a business.
Of any kind.
Send us a message.
Yeah.
Question, you get this, but people aren't in a position to directly support your business. How do you support your business?
Well, it's
Business.
that's
Mhm.
called also for those about like a post or a
Sure.
post.
Yeah.
I'm
Comment.
very humbled. All of the I always get Q&As, our local forums about girls. Just people tagging me. Oh gosh, something from me. I know this person. Or a couple times referred me the heck about something. They've my page. Those are the things that is just because they're easy. You know, also do your research. This to the branding is people are also
For all of our dying.
Charge last night?
support people support values. You know what? If you value kindness or philanthropy, support those things that make to do something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Because for us, that's the big, well, like,
right.
I
You only
know
buy so many times.
50 in the area, them all close with them, and their business individually, you're not buying 50 houses,
Right.
So, you know, Stacey in supporting buy to join our day.
Yeah.
You know, gives us randomly, we'll put up polls or posts, and she'll just DM us about thing and like, well, guys, try this next one. Never from a place of like, oh, you it's terribly. It's just spit and create.
What it is too, as I do follow guys for the clients I work with, you get those brands.
Yeah.
And right away, the mugs, guess pink mug. I just knew that, right? So those kinds of things where sometimes there's lots of like to give solicited feedback. Well, I don't know just because I help them, but then how would they information
Knowing you.
not to hurt anyone's feelings? Like one of the this is a tough one because there's an exception to every rule.
Yep.
You'll never notice a headshot because from a psychology point, it's selfish. Was for time, it does work. Yesterday I was and my client actually went. I was like right away, and actually in this context, it does work.
Yeah.
And each their own. That's your vibe, but it's just something that I will suggest. And there's been a couple where I've seen those shots that they themselves, and I'm like, well, is this, do I tell them? And I did tell somebody that defensive. Okay, that so, yeah. Sometimes I think you just just understand, but again, somebody I a really long time. And defensive, my anger was kind of fine. I was like, I'm gonna back off.
And most of the time, especially, I couldn't say how many sweaters I own, as I know so many amazing women entrepreneurs that all do custom clothes, stuff like that. And sometimes they are similar, but again, it's showing by one from her, and one from her because
and then I will further that comment. So that's a really good point. What does someone do? Me is that there's 100 women in the cricket machine. So I've looked to purchase equipment that I some afford.
Like your mug.
Or I have this machine upstairs that's $15,000 leased. Right?
Are you sure? Yeah.
So I like anything like color or pose. So that's just next level up is also that came out while of me build my business. This as that needs their competition besides where am I taking business, how I present myself differently. Well, it's in my brand and how I bring myself, but it's also in the offer. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm the cheapest. Because I got to post yesterday, you guys saw somebody said they wanted shopping for bottles on Etsy and Zillow was expensive. Tagged me in the post. So I can't remember exactly how I worded it because I did it a couple times. It's going to be dry. But you know what? Any custom is more expensive.
Yes.
Because she said something cheap. Carrying products. But so if you value quality, that you know where the independent should something that water bottle, I'm gonna fix it.
Yeah.
But does that snob? Well, maybe to reading that, what I'm trying to say is the Walmart, the winner and there's a customer.
The same thing all the time.
Commission.
It's
Yes.
everybody in your house concerned on, but gate comes with
They
service.
don't understand, and that's our job as nurse to educate.
Yes.
Yes.
And
We
to
can't-
communicate your
Yeah.
work.
Absolutely.
We can't expect people to simply do better to
Yeah.
right? I will admit, my husband's gonna tell me for but he's like, you can just pop a sign and
Oh, you.
oh yeah, no. You
Here
know, I'm
comes the line up at
Right.
Stacey.
because but he just didn't know, and so
Yeah.
I kind of
I
some of those
Would not
Right.
want
Actually, this is
to after that.
No.
Through
This
the
is-
and knew that he simply ignored. So the same goes for anybody with a cricket.
yeah.
Dollar store.
people
Yeah.
who put the stickers on, and
Yeah.
there's a market,
Sure.
or people who actually know what the terminal would be, but you like do the selling version of it in the on press or this
Yes.
is-
Yeah.
it's a sticker. This is on.
It's
It's
on.
not on
Yeah.
the dishwasher.
I was just gonna say the dishwasher.
Until
Microwave.
my
Yeah.
drops it will last.
Well, I go through the process of using products. Every time you pick up from me, it's a gift wrap package so that sometimes these are
Yeah.
so you can just you don't need the dollar store or go get a gift. So it's all those things that I put in business.
Mhm.
What happened for me, odd, that my ideal client recognized in that and they tell other people. And that's where I've gotten to the point I'm at and hopefully continue to and I'll figure out what I want when I grow up. Keep running. I'm just like I said, for the next I'm just in the process and figuring it out.
And
Right.
at a different stage. So I know with me years ago, probably would have been looking for a version of the me always at a stage where I'm for the long, the value,
Well,
Yeah.
because
paying
bought
more for
the- how
Yeah.
many we bought the cheap comforter because it's 50 less and end up having to get
Yeah.
the product.
again, it's leverages and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. There's for everyone.
That's why our parents you'll learn
Yeah.
everything yet.
Yeah.
Point.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you,
Thank
Stacey.
you for having me. I love you. I think I think that for hiring and I always watch it like the reel that to promote episode that
Yeah.
was in my for 24 hours.
Same.
I it and think that I could say hope you guys keep being you because it's so inspiring. Somebody who's a realtor drives from that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because
Yeah.
I still know how you do it. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
You are super inspiring to women and just the way you support so different women and men. But I
I love you, men.
mean, you're,
Yeah.
it's a different kind of connection level of have to go through successful.
There's
The
another
mission.
I want to bring this up. I think of the right too, but this kind of fits in. A few years ago, we did the mug for Deja.
I remember that.
So COVID and unfortunately the Patreon again, so we had to take a step back. We reopened, call out, and had half the family delivered. I did them, corn wet, coworker, successful realtor in town, and she sent a selfie, got my at Deja, and I was like, this whole supporting women like that just transpired. How steps did that? I was crying. I was so happy.
I wish we had a mental of all and that local friend that I don't know, sometimes just like one of the ways even
Yeah.
to acknowledge
Yeah.
so many of and if those that are sort of in the shadow thinking, oh, I want to be that long ago or one of those.
Yes.
I about that. Somebody,
Yeah.
somebody,
Just trying to find now.
somebody could have given a snapshot on the couch today, even 50 years ago.
Like,
Oh.
time.
And you'd be like, who are people and places? How
Yes.
did we get? You know what? It's just
Oops.
one at a time. Find your.
I also want, before we up, because we over our sorry everybody.
Oh, no. Stacey, you're gonna lose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put call out to any women who are struggling or a spit and feel like have that system on any of us. And that's about our community, but I don't think it's just our just gotten to the people here, but DM our numbers are it's almost email us like you're going to get a business on the other end if we still have so much passion, respect it takes to get going, and the determination to get that moving. It's not an easy feat or stage of life in, but sometimes it's those people you can call. You're like, I don't know, get out of bed. All big.
Yes.
So happy to chat and support your and whatever I can.
Your tip if support business. Comments.
Yes.
I need to do.
Well, you'll see the post later. Just to remind you, it was Stacey embraced photography, said yes. So, crap.
Good
Thanks,
to
everybody.
Take care.